Okay, this is my 2001 Winnebago Adventurer 35U. I'm going to show you what I did about a slow rear driver's side leveling jack that would not go up. I flushed the lines of fluid, even without any fluid pressure whatsoever. When I released the pressure, it wouldn't go up more than halfway. I don't see any scoring on the rod. So I flushed the fluid, new fluid, cleaned it, released the pressure. It still wouldn't go up. I also took apart took off the solenoid for this corner and bench tested it. Solenoid's working fine. And I've been dealing with this for about 3 years, and I'd have to come out here and with some type of a crowbar or just leverage it up the rest of the way every time. So what I did was I added 2 more springs. So I have 4 springs on this thing, and it finally works. So here's what I did. Let's get a little light on the situation here. So it's pretty simple. You see at the top, on the left is the original spring, and then I put that eye hook in so that I could have a second spring. And if you look in the back, you can see that I didn't even shorten the threaded rod on the spring. I didn't need to, so I just left it there. And then looking at the back, same thing. Okay. Now what I did was I tucked this as close as I could against the housing here of the jack housing, so that it would be the furthest away from the spring, so it's not in contact with the spring up here. The threaded rod isn't, right? And then we'll show you what I did on the bottom. So you have to keep the pressure balanced, otherwise your foot plate won't sit square. So obviously the tab on the right is the original, and if you follow that up, that spring is in the original connection point at the top. But so on the back, now this is, I consider this temporary, but I drilled a small hole in the foot plate so that I could get that spring through there. Now that I know it works, I'm going to take this into a welding shop and have them weld me a plate similar to the one that's already there for the original spring. Half as tall as that one, but twice as wide with 2 holes in it. The reason I want it half as tall is it'll just add another inch of tension to that one spring, and that's what I want to do. So just to increase the tension slightly. So on this side, the hole is also on the left, but that would be the inside of the RV, inbound. And the reason is, I originally, you can see I drilled a hole. I was experimenting, and I drilled a hole on the same side, right? Because here's my second spring in the back, and I drilled a hole on the same side here, but it didn't work. This thing was always tilted, the plate, because the foot plate when you don't have springs in place, this foot plate comes right off the jack, right? So it's got to have balanced pressure. So basically, my second spring to the front of the vehicle is inbound. My new spring to the back is outbound, and that just evens the pressure. So now when I go up and down, the plate stays relatively flat. So let's go and retract it. I mean, it's moving quick compared to what I'm used to. But it does slow down, which is understandable because as the springs retract, they have less and less pulling power. But it still eventually gets it all the way. What a relief it is to not have to worry about my jacks going up. So what I'm going to do now is put it back down again so that I can once more look closely at the work I did so you guys can see exactly where I cut the holes. right there, you can see how the top of this thing is designed. So all I did was drill that hole off to the side for the eye bolt to go through. These are not HWH springs. I bought these off Amazon, and even the pair before that weren't working were from Amazon. Now, the original ones from HWH, they weren't working either. And I bought 2 replacements from Amazon, and it did not fix my situation, so I bought 2 more from Amazon so that I could do this installation. But I'm not using manufacturer's springs. And then on the eye hooks, 5/16 inch by 3 1/4. You could get a little shorter. You don't need 3 1/4 long. This is the method I use to get the springs off initially. Basically, you stretch it out, you lift the RV all the way up, and then you put wood shims in the spring to keep it from retracting. Then when you retract the jack, at a certain point, the spring's loose. However, I discovered that I can put these springs on completely by hand when the jack is fully retracted. And I'm not going to demonstrate that, but if this is all the way up, you can get those springs on by hand. You can, wearing gloves, you can pull it that last little inch and hook it where it needs to be hooked. Now, the other thing I did want to point out is that on the back, the original tab right here, this spring does go up to the original placement of it, okay? The second one goes up to my newly installed eye hook, okay? But on the front, the original tab right here, that spring is now going up to my eye hook, and it's just to maintain symmetry. And then the original hook up here is going down to the new tab, or the hole that I drilled up there. And again, that's just to maintain symmetry. You have to maintain symmetry if you want this foot to stay even on the jack. That's it. All right. Hopefully that'll be helpful to somebody else.